Welcome to the House of Hoosier podcast. I'm your host, AJ Guyton. We have a special guest on our show today. We're going to cross sports with Antwaan Randle L. But first, here's a message from our sponsor. The 2021 basketball season is here. The teams around the league took the offseason to retool and revamp and are ready to hit the court. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, has rolled out another one of their can't-miss offers. Trying DraftKings Sportsbook is easy, so what are you waiting for? Get in on all of the action now. To celebrate the return of basketball, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new players 100-1 odds on any featured matchup this week. That's right. All you have to do is bet $1 on any featured matchup this week, and your team wins, you can cash a crisp $100. While we are excited for the return of basketball, let's not forget football's playoffs are right around the corner. So head to the app now to check out all of DraftKings' daily odds boost. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code FIELD68, FIELD 68, when you sign up to get 100-1 odds on any featured matchup this week. That's code FIELD68 for new players to get a shot at $100 on any featured matchup this week. For a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
All right, AJ, Indiana lost in overtime to Florida State last week. What were your thoughts? Let's start positives. A positive takeaway from a really tough, really close loss. What were your takeaways from that game?
My positive takeaways were they competed. They given themselves a chance to win with their defense. They made timely stops. They stayed in the game. They bottled up Florida State's offense for most of the game, and there was a feature of Trace Jackson Davis. He played well. He scored on the inside. He dominated the interior. And, at the end of the day, you want to give yourselves an opportunity to win at the end of the game. And one call could go either way. The lack of timeout call on Armaan Franklin was huge. I thought he was stationary and he was under control and should have been granted a timeout. I knew with their size, sometimes your size wears on the opponent. And I knew if we went into overtime, it was going to be a tough road to climb because we had played well and we had stayed the course throughout the first half. Throughout the game. So, I thought it was hard fought. Obviously, we didn't come out with a win, but, I thought, you can't win them all at the end of the day. Like I said, I tweeted out 1976 team is the only team I've known since 76 to win every single game. So it hasn't happened since, so it's not going to happen. So let's not get up in arms on losing a road game against a pretty good team with professional basketball players on their roster.
Absolutely. Yeah, no one's topping that 76 team, I don't think, anytime soon. Only team that had a shot was maybe the 75 team.
Right.
What makes this Archie Miller defense, from what you've seen, what makes it so good?
I think they have to do a good job of what we call it showing our numbers and helping early. They're always there to support their teammates. They close out gaps for penetration. When it does break down, they rotate and they make sure that they take away those easy drop off passes or wide open shots. They make you shoot over contested hands, and and what they have been doing well lately. They've finished the defensive possession with a rebound. That's that. If you can't rebound, your defense is not going to be very good because the team is going to get a lot more attempts. So continuing to battle on the boards and finish those defensive possessions, and their man-to-man defense has been really good, staying in front of their man, not allowing too many breakdowns. So I think that that's what makes Archie Miller's defense pretty good, Indiana's defense pretty good.
They didn't shoot very well against Florida State. They did against North Alabama, though. Armaan Franklin hit 5 threes. What does that do for someone's confidence to have a game? Doesn't matter who it's against. North Alabama, Duke, doesn't matter. How important is that for someone like Armaan Franklin to see the ball go through a couple of times?
Listen, we talked about that on the last podcast that we did, and we talked about Indiana basketball. And I just don't like when people complicate winning. Winning is not difficult. You have to make shots. In order to make shots, you have to be confident and free flowing and taking shots. And I think that opponent like North Alabama comes in, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable to shoot and miss a little bit. You kind of feel like you're going to win the game anyway. And so you take more shots, you take more chances, and the coaches, the staff gives you more chances and they take more chances. So, it was a perfect game for a guy like Armand Franklin, whom I called out and made sure that to know that he has to play well if this team is going to take the next step. Rob Finney has to shoot the basketball well. You're watching these teams around the country, they are lighting it up from three-point range. I mean, that's the new dunk. I remember back in the day, the dunk was changing everybody's mindset about the game, and that was the momentum. No, it's the three-point shot now. So we have to take just those shots to make those shots. And I think in that game, Armand was comfortable with that. I just hope that as the competition builds, we get in the Big Ten season, we don't wait. The only shot you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So get those shots up. Long as they're great shots. And back to the Florida State game, the one thing that we have to do better is we have to score in transition. Getting defensive stops without scoring in transition. And I haven't really studied the North Alabama game, but the fact that you got threes, it's not all in the flow of the offense. You got a great defensive team. You get stops. We got to get our guys running the lanes and spotting up. Not only just spotting up when they catch it, they don't have a shot. They attack and they attack hard. I can see those young guys develop in that area. I know Christian Lander is going to be phenomenal at that if he's able to feel the flow of the game and learn how to get on the move, run, and push that tempo with a throw ahead. When I played back in the day, Mateen Cleaves was the best point guard in the conference. Me and him battled, but what he was great at was he always threw it ahead. But what they were great at is those guys ran ahead. You got those wings, catch that ball, knock down a couple threes. Now they have to find you. Now we're getting fast break points. The worst thing we can do is run offense every single time down the floor. That's that walking it up, running a set every single time. We can't win a national championship that way, but we can win if we push that tempo and we get a player each game with multiple three-point makes.
I think I want you every podcast to say the line 100% of your shots don't go in if you don't take them or something.
Right.
Say a variation of that every time we record, because I think that's something people need to hear. AJ, we got a good crossover podcast today. Your guest, not just on the hardwood. He played a lot of different sports.
Absolutely. Antwaan Randle, one of the pillars of IU football, actually also played basketball at IU. I think it was my sophomore year he came in. He spent some time with us. And he's just a phenomenal person. He is a guy that, he's intelligent. He speaks very highly and very well of Indiana and his time there. And I think the people are going to be excited about him and the things that he had done and the things that he's doing today. So I'm excited about for the people to hear this podcast. All right, everybody, welcome to the House of Hoosier podcast. I'm your host, AJ Guyton. I'm here with one of my favorite players, one of my favorite people, one of the all-time greats at IU football, whatever sport you want to bring up in his lifetime, Antwaan Randle. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Nothing much, man. I'm doing well. Everything's good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I can't complain, man. Last time I saw you, we was running sprints next to one another, man. And for some reason, I don't know what happened that day at that practice, but we was running sprints next to each other. But we'll get to that in a minute, man. So
we couldn't hit the broad side of a barn that day. We couldn't make nothing.
Nothing. Like I just remember that. But we'll get to that, man. So for the people that are listening, and we were older now, so we see other people's kids coming up. They going to college, and so there's a whole group of people who don't identify with us. They hear your name, your pictures all over IU. you, but if they saw you, if it was next to you in the grocery store, they wouldn't know who the hell you was. So
Right.
we want to dig back. One thing we have in common with both Illinois to Indiana boys. Yep. I want to talk about, what was your upbringing like in Riverdale, Illinois, from a family standpoint, from a social standpoint that developed that toughness and created Antwaan?
Well, I think a lot of it for me, very early on, my pops got us involved in sports, and that was his focus. He wanted to make sure for us, it was school, sports, and after that, it was, finishing up school again or homework or whatever, and then it was eat, lights out, get ready to do it all over again. He did that to keep us out of the streets, so to speak, to make sure that we had, that we were given a fair shot, an opportunity. And that was his focus for his three boys, to make sure he did all he could to give us a shot. And obviously growing up in Riverdale, Illinois, which we always say Chicago, because you walk across the bridge, you're in Chicago. So
sure, yeah.
But the tough area that we grew up in. I mean, you had to fend for yourself, but at the same time, we knew we were protected from a standpoint of, hey, Pops is always looking at us. He's putting us where he wants us to be. And we had to be in for the street light came on. So we
definitely
wrong anyway.
Yeah. What role did Mama Randle play in this?
So Mom Randle, she played the role of how do I say, she's gonna make sure we was at church.
Right.
I feel like we went to church every day. Monday, Bible study, Tuesday, prayer meeting, Wednesday, old folks meeting, Thursday, choir rehearsal, Friday service, Saturday was youth choir rehearsal, and then Sunday you went to church, 4 services.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you had the last service, or the one before the last service, was called YPWW, Young People Willing to Work.
Wow.
So you did all those things, man, and it was God. I mean, my mom made sure we were in church and wanted us to know God. And they gave us that great upbringing, that foundation of faith in terms of as we moved up through our life. So
absolutely. What personalities and traits did you take away from each parent? So, for example, where did you get that energy, that infectious attitude from? And then what part did you take from the other parent?
So I got that infectious energy, that go-getter from my mom. Like
okay.
And she's like that today, bro. Like she ain't messing around. She want to get something done. Hey, she's got all the energy, and when it comes to that, people gonna follow.
Absolutely.
So got the leadership from her for sure. From that standpoint, and from Pops, I got that hard-working mentality that, hey, this is the plan. You got to stay focused on it. And get it done, and you can't stray off of it. That's the trait I took from him, because that's what he did. That's what we saw growing up. Like he was a dad. Like he got up, he made sure he went to work. He brought that check home. He made sure he took care of his boys. Anything his boys needed, he didn't want his boys going out and ask anybody else.
Absolutely.
Something we needed, we looked at him and he was gonna get it for us. I never get the car broke down one time. And it was, in Chicago, you getting all that snow, all the snow you can ever want.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of snow that day, and it wasn't we normally walk to school, but there's a bunch of snow that day. So instead of him driving us to school because the car wasn't working, he bundled us up, threw one. At this time, my younger brother wasn't quite in school yet. He threw me and Kurt, on his shoulders and walked us through the snow, got us to school. I never forget it. He's just done some awesome things. So he was the guy who was kind of like just that driving force. I would say he was the guy. He was the one I took the trait from, in terms of just that hard work and staying the course. It's gonna work out. So
absolutely,
those are the traits I got from those two great parents of mine who are still living, and I love them to this day. Just talking about Dad about 10 minutes ago. So
shout out to the Randle L parents when they'll be listening to this, making sure that they feeling good that day. They're getting that love from their son. Are they're not down there they're still in Chicago, in Riverdale?
Yeah, they're still out in Chicago. Yep.
Yeah, what's up with parents? They never leave. They don't care how much money you make. I don't care what you doing. They are not leaving them roots.
Try to get them to go different places. They don't want to move.
No.
Just like, well, okay, well, that's what it is. I said, like, so for me, like, I go back and visit, but if I don't have to, Chicago's cold. I want to have some 4 seasons. I was living in DC. I had 4 seasons. Now I'm in Florida. You really got 1 season in Florida.
Right, for sure. It's 1 season. Yeah.
But we can't get them to move. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. They ain't going nowhere. That's that old school. This is where we lay. This is where we grind it. We love it here. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But those family things always are the things that shape you as an athlete. And when you're done and your career is over, you look back, you're like, man, those fights, those battles, and even those lessons within your parents are the things that shape you. But you had an older brother named Curtis Randle. What was his role in shaping you? I know the big brother relationship and just grooming you. What was Curtis's role in that?
Exactly. It was exactly that. A big brother grooming me. So my brother, he always, when it came to sports, he always played against guys that were older than him.
Right.
And I was always with him. So I always played, with guys that was I was that much older than me, obviously. So, and he made sure like he took care of me from that standpoint. I was always the guy, I would run around and do different stuff to people and go stand behind my brother.
Right. Right.
He was going to protect me. So I ain't had no doubt. And he had his homeboys, had his crew. He was going to make sure that I was taken care of. I would do a little different stuff, run, stand behind my brother and just look at people like, what's up?
Right. Right.
And then he paved the way in terms of just getting me to understand different things that otherwise I wouldn't have seen had he not walked some of that path before me, when it comes to sports, when it comes to even graduating, finishing college, and what it really meant. Like he was the one, hey, look, you can get this done in 4 years. You can get it done in 3.5 years if you want to, but you're gonna get it done. So I had that push from my parents, but him being at school with me was big as well.
Huge. Yeah, and I mean, that's very important, man. I talked to Steve Alford, I've talked to Isaiah, talked to Calvert Chaney, AJ Moye, and the theme is the same. Each one of you guys, including myself, the development process within the skills on the skill side started with playing against guys older than you, and I don't think people understand the toughness that it brings, the patience that it brings. Like, because when you're playing with older guys, you ain't taking all the shots, or you ain't the quarterback. You know what I mean? You're gonna be a lineman. You're gonna block for it. You know what I'm saying?
You do a lot of the dirty work.
You're gonna do all the dirty work. So that teaches you. But I loved it because you have a brother younger than you.
Yep.
And so you were able to groom him and do the same exact thing to him. So that iron continually sharpens iron. And that's what people don't understand. I know they like training, they like all this stuff. It's like, no, go play against or play with older guys or older people older than you that can groom you, can help you get better.
Yes, indeed. And that's the thing I look forward to. It was a blessing for me to be able to have Kurt, out there kind of leading it for me. And then obviously, having Marcus, follow behind me in terms of me leading him. So it's just it's been good and certainly thankful for those times.
Right, definitely. So you get the high school you attended, Harvey Thornton.
I went to Thornton Township. Yep.
Thornton Township. Has it ever been called Harvey Thornton? I don't know where I got that from.
Well, because it's in the city.
It's Harvey, Illinois. Okay, yeah. Got you.
So that people say Thornton Harvey all the time.
Yeah, all kind of stuff.
Because you got Thorn Ridge and Thornwood. Thorn Ridge is in Dalton, and I think Thornwood is in South Holland. So we just say Harvey Thornton,
Definitely. I mean, I get a dose of it, weekly because I follow your former basketball coach, Rocky Hill.
Yeah.
And he gives us he gives us Thornton moments each week.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I get to see the highlights and all that stuff. But you get to Thornton High School, and you looking around. You're pretty good in different sports. What made you decide, you know what, I'm gonna play everything? I'm just gonna play I got the ability, because some you get to high school and people don't know this. Some coaches be like, you gotta pick one. Hey man, because we need you for preseason, we need you to prepare. And that puts kids in a dilemma, but for those kids that are able to play multi-sports, what was your thought process in high school?
Well, for me coming through, my thought process was, I can play these sports, and this is what I've been doing all my life. We started playing tackle football at 6, which I wouldn't recommend for anybody.
Right.
We started playing it at 6 years old, and it was from there to baseball and to basketball. So they kept us, again, Pops kept us every year, every season. We were involved in something. So again, it was, once you got in it and you did well in it, it was, let's just keep on doing it. And it was, again, another way to keep us busy. keep us away from the fray that was going on around us. And then when we got to high school, like it wasn't really like an option. A coach could have said, "Hey, I don't want you playing that sport," and he would have just lost out because I was playing some sport somewhere. I did it all 4 years in high school, and obviously did it 3 years in college. Well, actually 2 years in college. I played 2 different sports, but during high school, it was fun. It was good. It was what I was so used to. So, and then the coaches got together, they coordinated and made sure, hey, when I was done, I got me a couple of days rest, then went over to basketball, and when the basketball was done, got me a couple of days rest, went over to baseball. So I enjoyed it. And again, they pushed me when I was younger. So that's what, just when I got to high school, that was it. That's what it was going to be about.
Absolutely. Do you think that, looking back on it, because, we just talked about not having ample time to you prepare different weight training, different types of conditioning and all that. Do you think that you could have had more success if you focused on maybe 2 out of the 3, or do you the way it happened? Is that the way you exactly wanted it?
Yeah, I love the way it happened because for me, I know what I had in football and how it helped me in basketball. I know what I was doing in basketball and how it helped me in baseball, and vice versa. All the 3 sports like really mingling together, and one just benefited from the other. Like my physicalness on the basketball court came from me playing football, yeah, definitely. So and then when it came to baseball, just the quickness and stealing bases and all that, help from a basketball standpoint, being quick on so it all just tied in together. And nowadays you got kids who they focus on one sport.
Definitely.
I always try to encourage kids, don't, if you could play another sport because it's going to help you. I said, and you may find out, that the one sport you playing that you thought you really loved, you fall in love with this other one, and you're quite better at the other one than you want the first one. But nowadays, I mean, AAU ball, they focusing on basketball, focus on football, focus on just baseball, and you put all your eggs in one basket. You never really figure out what eggs are in the other basket, and if those eggs can be more productive than what you have. So
exactly,
so that's the way I looked at it, and it was great. And I always encourage young kids now, like, get out there, and I tell parents, encourage them, go ahead, let them play another sport. They're so caught up in getting them hurt and them not training, and if they don't play during this time with this team, they're not going to be on it. If you can play, you're going to be on whatever best team. They're going to come find you.
They're going to come find you. That's a great message, man. And you said it all. I want the people listening to understand that, because I played JFL football, and then we played basketball. And I love football more than basketball when I was younger. People don't know that. Like, I was a collector. I got all the cards, all that. Still got them. So, but it was just, for me, I walked out there one day, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I was like, dang, they getting bigger and bigger. I was like, oh. I was like, you know what, that court, they ain't looking too bad right now. But the thing that happened for me was I developed quickly, and it was like, oh, this is the way for me to get to school. It wasn't, so I'll definitely encourage people. I got a daughter that plays, and she refuses to play anything else. And I'm like, come on, like, you gotta try it. Like, I'm pushing her, but what leg do I have to stand on? And I only did, I did one. So, but I definitely agree with you. I wish I would have done. I probably could have been a heck of a DB. What I mean, and in college football, as I'm watching, because I have those instincts to, in good hands, and enough to defend or something, or safety or something to help the team out.
Right.
Definitely don't want to get. I want to hit somebody. I don't want to get hit too much. Not too much. So that's a great point, man. You also played in the state title game in high school, man, right?
Yeah, I played
in school from my town, Peoria, Manual. Was that the state title game or semifinal?
Well, we played 3 years straight. We lost to them. 2 years straight, we lost to them in the state finals.
Oh, okay.
And then my senior year, we lost to them in the semifinals.
Oh, okay, got you.
So every year, I mean, in my career in high school, we only had 3 losses, and all 3 of the losses was to them.
Jesus, man, because you guys had. Were yourself a professional football player, and yourself, Napoleon Harris, Ty Streets, and, Melvin Eli, Eric Herring, and what you couldn't get past that vaunted, and trust me, I'm in the same boat with you. I couldn't beat them either. And it was they just had too much talent, man. But what was that experience like being able to play for a state title?
I mean, it was great. I mean, because you just like every year, like we just expect it. Like we going down, we gonna play, and we're ranked in the country with the Oak Hills and all the other teams.
I remember that.
Country. So it was for us. It was great. So you look forward to it every year.
Absolutely.
Not losing. Really beating the brakes off people, and then have an opportunity to go and play. On a big level in terms of playing in the state championship. So it was great, a great experience for me. I learned so many things from those games, and just when it comes up to going against Peoria Emanuel 3 times in a row, the preparation changed game to game in terms of not the preparation, but how you attack them. So I learned that getting ready to go in college and all those different things in terms of so that helped me a lot. And then even when we played baseball the one year, we never went far in the playoffs, but we beat the number 1 team at home with Flossmoor that year. I think they were number 1 in the state, and we beat them in the first round of the playoffs. And that taught me something. Like you learn these different lessons, because it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. You could be at top of your game and somebody can take you down.
Absolutely.
You could be at the top of your game and go up against somebody who is just as good as you, and you take out and you win. Same thing in football. We were 9-0 one year and turn around and go to the playoffs to get ready to play Thornwood, and they beat us first round of playoffs in football. Have to go 9-0. So and this is what we talk about. But that's sports. You line up and play. You have an opportunity to compete. So those experiences in high school, they kind of helped me as I got ready to go to college, because I was already playing big time ball, so to speak.
Right. Oh, those are excellent jewels, man. And before we get into your recruitment process at IU, you got drafted into the MLB, into Major League Baseball, but you decided not to pursue that. What went into that decision?
Well, I got drafted, and I'm gonna say it plain, like I always say it. I didn't decide not to go.
Right. Why was that? Because you look at, $300 million contracts, and you guys, it's not the stress on your body, you know what I mean? Like, what was their reasoning for that?
So their reasoning for that was, at the time I was 17 years old, so I couldn't make the decision on my own.
Right, yeah.
Their reasoning for it, they wanted me to go to school and get my degree. At the end of the day, that's what it was about. They felt like 17 years old, going to AAA ball first is where I would have started, on AAA ball. Which is unusual, because normally you start at least Division II, AA ball. But I was going to AAA. They were going to pay for my schooling. I was getting paid a healthy salary so it was all looking great. But,
right.
But they said, he's going to take this scholarship and go play at Indiana.
Okay.
But more importantly, he's going to go get his degree. That's what we wanted to do. And I did that in 4 years. And then obviously later when I got my master's from George Washington. So they put me on that track because they knew exactly what I needed. Now, I didn't talk to them for a while because I was
upset. It was tough. It was tough.
I was upset with them because growing up, you playing these kids, you thinking, hey, whichever one come first, I'm gone.
I'm out.
I'm going. I'm be able to get out of this neighborhood, come back and help the hood if I can.
Yeah.
So when it came, I was excited and really wanted to go, but they said not so much. And the scout was really pissed off because
I bet.
He came to the house and talked to us, told them we're gonna draft him. We know he can play. And when they drafted me, they called like, okay, he's got to leave on Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. And they was like, what? No, here's the deal with him. He's gonna go to school, get his degree. That scout was so upset. Hey, they had been communicating with us, and I think for my parents, I don't think they thought that it was really gonna go down. But when it did, and then it was over after that.
Hey, they made a strong, but it worked out. But looking back, that could have been catastrophic if things didn't work out. You're like, but hey, before we get into the IU recruitment, man, I want to do what I call a Hoosier 10. I'm gonna ask you some questions. If you don't remember, don't worry about it. We'll gloss over it. So, First question will be: what dorm or apartment complex did you stay in on campus your freshman year?
When I say I stayed at McNutt.
McNutt, yep, that's one. Favorite restaurant to eat when you were in Bloomington?
Bar Louie.
Bar Louie.
I think it's
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yep. Last time you've been to Bloomington?
It's been about it'll be 3 years now. Yeah, coming up about 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. What most memorable football game that you remember the most?
Chuck, I remember all of them vividly, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, but you got off in one of them that you remember.
Yeah, the one I would say would be very first game of my career against, I think it was Western Michigan.
Yeah,
one of them. But we played against them, and I counted for 6 touchdowns. 3 of them were passing, 3 was rushing. That was my first game of my career. I thought, man, this is easy. But I knew it was going to be much harder in the Big Ten. But that first game of my career was memorable for sure.
Bananas. Toughest place to play?
The toughest place to play, I would have to say, in college for me, was Michigan. 100,000 fans. You couldn't hear. I mean, really like yelling. I'm yelling at you, and you standing a foot from me, and you can't really hear.
Right.
So I think that's. I would have to say. Oh, hold on. Let's back up. Wait.
Yeah.
I gotta say Iowa. When Iowa is rocking, and it's cold too now.
Yeah.
But when they rocking, it is. And remember the I forgot. That's right. The stands, like it's right next to the bleachers. Like they can reach out and touch you. If you lean back a little bit, they can reach out and touch you if they want to.
Really?
Yeah, I never forget. We played that one time. They was throwing these .com balls at us, like this. They throw these balls. We got down in the end zone. That was a pretty tough place to play. I think it was my sophomore year or something like that. Playing against Liddell Betts and all them cats. So yeah, it was. Yeah, I would have to say Iowa, even over Michigan. Yeah.
They all tough. We know that. Playing on the road in the Big Ten, I don't care if you're going to the last place team. It's tough. So most Cam Cameron coached you, right?
Yeah.
What most memorable Cam Cameron moment?
I got a lot of them, but I'm gonna share this one. He ended up being my quarterback coach one year because we lost Coach Pete Smith to cancer during my I think my sophomore year. Love Coach Pete, lost him, so Cam had to step in and lead me from a quarterback coach standpoint. So when it was going down, we had this one blitz. They bring this fire zone blitz from the front side. He said, "Okay, you don't want to throw into the blitz. We're gonna throw backside to the X." I never forget, in practice, I dropped back, I threw it to the front side, and I wasn't supposed to. He said, "Look, now in the game, we'll go over again." Went over again. So I threw it right. I threw it to the X on the backside curl. Got in the game and threw that ball front side. And he said, "That ball needs to go here." Like
that's how he talked to
you. I mean, he's pointing to the Jerry Dorsey, who was my wide receiver that ran the route. And that's just one of the moments I remember. I can give you all kind of moments.
Oh, there's plenty of them. I know that.
Right there, I remember, and it made me realize, all right, this is a serious deal. Like he knows exactly.
Right. Details. Like, and now you're experiencing that as a coach. So, who would you be? To me, you're already on this, and who would be your IU football Mount Rushmore?
In terms of a team to go, we went up against
players.
Oh. I think I'm lost in the question. Like, what do you mean, Mount Rushmore?
Like your 4 greatest IU football players.
Okay. Well,
in your opinion,
mine would have to be. I'll have to say AT would be one. And Thompson would be one for sure. Wale would be one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wale would be one. And I would be remiss if I don't put my brother on there because I just love the fight. This dude got stabbed in his junior year in the offseason going into his senior year. And he gutted it out, had the surgery, and came back and played his senior year. I mean, it took his guts to do that. He would have to be on that list. People don't remember that story. So I would have to put him on that list. And he went out and played well.
You ain't about to just gloss over that. He got what? Yeah,
so him and one of the fraternities, they got into it or something. This guy was going around stabbing folks. He stabbed a couple people. He stabbed my brother, and I was sitting down at doing a tutor session, and they came and got me like, "You need to get to your apartment. Your brother, blah blah blah." I was like, "What?" And I got to the hospital, and there he was on the table holding his intestines.
Really?
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was so crazy. And it's it's for me, it was like it was so it was like this is happening.
Like a dream.
Like we didn't made it. We didn't made it from out of the hood, and this happens up here.
Right.
That was crazy. But he came out and walked out, and spring ball came out to the team, spoke to the team, and said he'll be back. Blah blah blah. And sure enough, I mean, I felt like he came back too soon, but he thought, hey, I'm gonna give him my best shot. And he came out, he played. I mean, he put that thing together and was ready to roll. So I would have to have him on that list. So he would be one of the four. And then my fourth would have to be
it's you, but you can pick somebody else.
Yeah, I ain't gonna pick myself. I ain't doing that.
No, it's you, but you can pick somebody else.
I'll be humble. I ain't gonna do that. And then my other one would have to be I would have to say I like Leveron Williams was
he's a beast.
Guy for me, just made some plays. Played during my time. And again, I'm saying four, I could name 10 others, sure, especially some of the more recent years that the guys have come through. So, but I'm gonna stick with them four.
That's dope. Who was your favorite teammate of all time? Like, the
guy? Favorite teammate, college for sure, was Leveron Williams. He was my teammate and roommate. Also roommated with Tyrone Browning. But me and Leveron hit it off when we first got here because we were two guys who had to redshirt our first year. While everybody else was playing, we would practice and sit in the stands and watch the game. We couldn't even be on the sideline. We had a growing process we went through together, and that kind of solidified our relationship, established our relationship as we kind of bonded and got through college. And so he would be the guy for sure. Again, another guy we'll still communicate with.
Absolutely.
We were texting back and forth yesterday. So
big shout out Leveron Williams, man. The GOAT's one of the greatest of all time. And leading into that question, with them four guys, when you think of IU football, what player comes to mind?
When I think of IU football,
what player comes to mind?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, my first thought is AT.
Absolutely. That's what I thought you was gonna say, because it's the first one you mentioned.
It comes to mind when I think of IU football.
That's just to the question. When I think IU basketball, I think Isaiah Thomas immediately.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So running to your recruitment, man, that's the end of our Hoosier 10. We'll get into your recruitment. So how did this all begin? Why did you decide to attend Indiana? You probably could have went anywhere, but
yes,
Indiana University.
I was blessed to have scholarships from just about every college in the country, but not every college wanted me as a quarterback, which made it for me was like, well, I'm out then,
right?
Because I wanted to play quarterback,
right?
And Indiana was not on the table, although my brother was at Indiana. They were not on the table because I wasn't for certain that they were going to allow him to play quarterback. And the second thing was that they had Bill Mallory, who was a great coach, but his offense was very, very predictable. Run, play, pass, so to speak. Good dude, respect him. Obviously, lived a great life before passing a couple of years, not too long ago.
Right.
His offense was run, play, action, pass. And in high school, we threw it, we ran option, we did all kind of different things, and so that was not on the table. Was not on the table at all to go there. But then when Cameron got the job, he came and sat down with my family and told him, "Hey, look, I will give him a legitimate shot to be quarterback, and we really feel like he can be our starting quarterback." And I knew he had this NFL mindset. With being in the NFL, I knew he had played at Indiana quarterback, and he played basketball with Coach Knight. So during that recruitment process, I was basically coming to Indiana to do what he did, would play quarterback and play basketball. Like those were the agreements that I could play the sports that I wanted to play. And then obviously when it came to having that opportunity to play quarterback, he said, "You're gonna have a legitimate shot." And sure enough, I really won the job at spring ball. And then it was over after that. So that was the recruitment process. And I had already committed to Ohio University.
Really?
To go be a Bobcat. And I decommitted because Cam had gotten the job. And I was like, this is going to be, I I just had to weigh the options. A MAC school over a Big Ten school. And at that point I said, yeah, I'm gonna go to Big Ten because I know Cam's gonna give me a shot to play quarterback. And sure enough, they gave me the shot and I took well advantage of it.
Right, and that's amazing because it's kind of parallel, similar to me. I was that close to committing to St. Louis University because I just in time it was like, man, I love Charlie Spoonhour. It was cool. He was gonna let me eat. And then at the 11th hour, Indiana came in. It was like, all right, you got a chance to play on that stage.
That's a different stage. I mean, it is.
Different stage, man. And you got to take advantage of it, like you said.
Yep. So, and I did. I took advantage of it. And I felt like that was, after talking with mom and then obviously going to Indiana, talking to my mom and pops, and then obviously my brother being there, it was like, okay, well, this is icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
My brother's there too. Like, all right, well, let's do it.
Right.
Again, remember they were not on the table at all, and then, once Cam got the job, it turned for me for sure to have the opportunity to be able to play a quarterback on that stage.
Absolutely, man. So you mentioned your breakout game against Western Michigan, one of the greatest games at the time for a freshman in Division I football. Right. But when you got into that Big Ten season, you took the first hits. Was there any time in your mind you was like, oh, this might be a long year. Because you talking about big 6'5" dudes that can run just as fast as you, coming at you on a daily. I'm always impressed with football players. That's why it's my favorite sport to watch, because you really, really putting it on the line.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the game. Like everybody has a knack. Everybody can come in and fit it, be a part of a piece of the puzzle with their talents and their gifts and the things that they can do. And for me, like I wouldn't really worry about the hits because I was like, you ain't gonna really get no direct hit on me.
Right.
And very rarely, it was rare that it happened. But for me also, I go back to my high school days. Like we had, when I came out, I think it was 7 D1 players
right
on our team when we left that year. I feel like it might even be more. And then we had several others who went to play D2 ball. But as you mentioned, Napoleon Harris, like he was 6'4". We were going up against him every day in practice.
Right.
Jermaine Hampton, who was our safety, he was 6'2", coming downhill trying to make tackles. So we had a crew that we went up against every day on defense. So I got to college. It wasn't a big deal, but it was like I've been going up against these guys of this stature for quite some time.
Right.
So my high school days certainly helped me for that. And being in the Big Ten, I expected it. Saw it on TV growing up, and I was up for the challenge. I was ready to roll. So I didn't really care what they was trying to bring, but I'm gonna play some tag with them.
Yeah, right.
Not getting tackled, no way.
I was gonna ask you, like, what's in your mind thinking back to our days growing up, and that's what you did. You evaded people, you avoided people. That's why when I'm watching you, I'm like, it's not difficult to evade people, because that's what we did. We stayed, if somebody coming at you, you don't let them just run you over.
Nope.
You put your head on your shoulders, you spin, you make them work, and they'll stop chasing you at the end of the day. So that's what I saw a lot watching you play. I'm like, this dude is just playing it and tag with people out here.
And for me, another thing for me was like I feel like I'm gonna wear you down.
You made IU football fun to watch, and now IU football is climbing to the top of the mountain where it's always a guy that has to start that process, you know what I mean, to begin the process of the program being great. And I liken that back to your time of making it exciting. That's the first step to it. And what Tom Allen has done has been phenomenal. What is your relationship like with Coach Allen, and what do you see because people don't, you're a football guy, so you see it. What has he done to rebuild that program?
Well, I think the first thing, my relationship with him, I mean, we text every week, especially during the season, more than anything, especially this season. And I don't just text. I send video and show him how excited I am about what's going on. And you just knew when he got there, he was bringing something different. But the big thing he's been able to do, he's been able to recruit. And I think a lot of it has to do with his coaching history. A lot of it has to do with his coaching high school ball in Indiana. So he has some ties that has helped him be able to go out and be able to recruit from that standpoint. So he's been able to come out let's start. So Coach Allen has been
Yeah.
able to come out and being able to recruit from that standpoint. His ties from coaching high school ball and coaching other places, he can go to, you know, different cities, different states or whatever and recruit whoever because of his ties, because he's been in the game coaching for a while. I think that's has benefited him. And then the other thing is like you see him, he brings a certain level of energy,
Infectious.
leadership, and it's just, I mean, it's
infectious.
It permeates right through the team, and you can see it. And when you got somebody in that leadership role, and you see that, you see the conviction, you see the passion, it goes a long way as a player, because now I want to play for that guy. I want to play for the guy. And then obviously you put the knowledge of the game and all that stuff right on top of it. It makes it good to say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go play at Indiana. So I think that those recruiting and just him being him with his passion for the game has certainly taken IU to a whole nother level.
Right, exactly. And their style of play and how they play, is that a style of play that you feel like you could have been successful in as well?
Yeah, because what you see is, especially more so this year, like they're gonna run the ball, but they're gonna put the ball down the field.
Absolutely, I love that.
When it's time to get the quarterback out of the pocket or what have you, they'll do that as well. And it's not like they're stuck in a rut in terms of just running or just passing. Again, having your offense open to be able to run the ball, pass the ball, throw screens, have some gadget plays in there, and they've had that. And I think that's the thing that helps them. But more importantly, I think what you got to look at is the defensive side of what they've been able to do this year. That defense has been lights out. A Wisconsin team that was running the ball down people's throat, and our team just wasn't having it, which was great to see. So you put those things together, and you see what they do on offense, and you see what they do on defense, which it turns around and certainly bodes well to win some game for sure.
Right. Now, they had an opportunity to be, in the college football playoffs, and obviously some decisions was made to change that and allow Ohio State to, the minimum games. When you saw that process playing out, what was you thinking in your head?
Well, I thought they wanted to do all they can to make sure Ohio State got in.
just straight up.
I'm gonna just be real. At the end of the day, because for me, like, if nothing else, take the two best teams. Because you're in a league or in a season, I should say, with COVID, take the two best teams in the league, all right, from both sides, and let them play. It don't matter North and South anymore, because ain't nobody getting all the games in, blah, 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 what have you. Take those two teams and let them play it out. And that'll be Big Ten champion, so to speak, and then they'll go over and be able to have opportunity to be able to compete for the college football playoffs. And I thought for sure we would have had a shot to do it, regardless if we had our starting quarterback in or not. We know he went down with the ACL. I just thought we should have had an opportunity to be able to play in that game, or at least have that opportunity. So, but that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. They changed the rules because they knew they weren't gonna have enough games. Let's let them in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I felt the same way, man. I didn't understand it, but then again, I'm just starting to really follow it. I'm always following it on Twitter and all that, but reading into it is just I saw exactly what you saw. You college, you are like one of the pillars of college football, but during your time there at Indiana, you actually played basketball. You were on a team with me in 1998. The one thing I want to ask about that I never got a chance to ask you is what was that first conversation with Coach Knight like?
Oh, the first conversation was when I came in, was recruited or whatever. I mean, he just told me, you're a damn good athlete, and we can use you. You just got to be committed, was one of the way he said it. And then I was like, yeah, no problem. I'm going to be committed. And then he was always talking to me and tapping me on the back of my head with that ring on his finger. I ain't really like that. But he was welcoming, and he told me, hey, we'll get you down in the summer. So I ended up playing, on I forget the date, on some team when I first got there, be able to do that. And he said, when your season's over with, you take a week off and come on over. But for me, I wanted to come and get there right away. So the season was over for me on a Saturday. I was in the gym on Monday and Tuesday because I knew I was behind the eight ball and had to catch up to speed. So 97, 98, obviously 97 was more of a redshirt year and just practice, but 98, have an opportunity to be in the, practicing and having an opportunity to play in games. That was awesome for me. So it was great. So that conversation with him was good. And then I always had conversation after that. And I loved him because he was the cat, like he gonna give you the business while you're on the court.
Absolutely.
But off the court, you can have a conversation. You can talk about his mama. You're gonna talk about your mama. It was cool. Yeah. Go hang out at the movies. But when you was on that hardwood, as you know, he was gonna get it all out of you for sure.
The most out of you, like no matter what, or you wasn't gonna be there. That was just
that's right.
The way. And I was gonna ask you, what is your assessment of what makes him great as a basketball coach?
Well, I think one thing he found what works, and I think once he found what works, he figured I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna fine tune it. So I think for Coach Knight, it was the adjustments to the game he wanted to see. He wanted to play man to man. He wanted to make sure that his team was going to be hard nosed. He was going to make sure they was going to be in the best physical condition, without question. So what I took from him and what I noticed from him was like he was going to do it his way. It didn't matter what the changes was going on. This is what he knew to work, and this is what he was going to be about.
Right.
And because of that, if you bought into that, you had a shot. You had a shot at winning. You had a shot at getting to the next level, and that's what I like. I think those was his attributes. And then he didn't waver from it. It wasn't like you was gonna get something different on the next day. This is what it's gonna be. Show up and be ready to go. And so I think that was a big leadership principle that I took and saw, and it reminded me about my dad. In terms of how he woke up every day. This is the way it is. This is how we going after it. We gonna stay the course. So it represented a lot for me to be able to play for him, and it just really set my path in terms of coaches that I played for after that. Playing for Coach Cower, who was another stern, in-your-face guy, Hall of Famer, and playing for Coach Gibbs as well, who was another Hall of Famer. So having the chance to play for Hall of Fame coaches, my professional career and college career was great, and real awesome. So.
Right. And that's a heck of a coaching tree, man. And with you being a coach today, you started even in high school, you had a great coach in high school. And then in college, you got Cameron, nothing like a coach who's played the game and do it exactly the way you want to do it.
Yep.
Coach Knight in basketball, Coach Cower. So you had no choice but to lace them up and go out there and teach them.
Yes, right.
That's crazy. And just going back to that, any interest in ever being a head coach in college?
I would coach college football. For me, it's the time commitment.
It is. It's a lot.
It's a bit worse than NFL. And in the NFL, I'm in a situation where with Coach Arians, like Bruce Arians, we're gonna get our work done and we're gonna go home. We're not just gonna sit around and look at each other as if like we're gonna make sure we get our work done.
Absolutely.
We don't miss out on family life. And I feel like if I coach college ball, I would have to definitely be the head coach, but I would have to rearrange some things to make sure, or even if I'm coaching under somebody, that they understand that value of family. Because for me, it's hard for me to raise somebody else's kids because I'm around them so much in the college football arena, and my kids not getting the same. That I don't want to miss out on my kids, all that they do. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. Not if I get on with somebody, that's got to be the focus. We're gonna win some games, we're gonna raise some kids, but we can't lose sight of our family.
Right.
And I think if we can do that, I can coach it for sure. And I know that the recruiting kind of hinders that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because recruiting is a bit different in college as it is in pros. Pros, you got a whole scouting department.
Yeah, exactly.
I really feel like that might be the next deal for colleges. They got so much money that comes through those programs. Put together a scouting department that does everything for you, and now you can vet the guys, you can have conversations with them, but it's not you going through the whole process. So I feel like it's got to be something changed for me to be able to coach in college football. Although I do want to, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they'll accommodate you. If they want you, they'll accommodate you. That's very important. I coach college basketball as well, and I thought the exact same thing. I had a daughter. It's actually what made me leave it. It was because I was in a great situation. Do you know Tavares Hardy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tavares hired me on at Loyola, and I coached and I was there. But the problem, I have custody of my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter. She was 12 at the time. And I was just having to leave her places. I had to recruit all the time. And it was just me. So I was like, I had to give it up because I didn't want to miss her development and her growing up completely, because I'll just miss every game, every recital, everything. So I definitely concur with what you're saying, man. So family is important to you. And
yes, indeed.
You got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You in the second round. He was 62nd overall, and you played. The most important thing that happened to you in the NFL is you were able to play and win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
What the hell was that like to be? So not only throw a touchdown pass at that time and win. You are in the history books forever. What was that like, man?
Yeah, only wide receiver ever to throw a touchdown in the Super Bowl was certainly big for me. But to get to the Super Bowl was that childhood dream, and to win it. For me, I grew up wanting to be a quarterback in the National Football League, and because that's what I played. So when I had to switch to wide receiver, I was blessed to be able to still throw the ball when I got in the NFL, whether it was with the Steelers or with the Redskins. I had opportunity to still play some quarterbacks, but in a different setting, throw the ball, but in a different setting, and throwing that ball at touchdown in the Super Bowl was big, something we practiced and worked on, week after week. We actually did it against Cleveland during the regular season and scored the same way. But a lot of it was set up by the run game that we had early in that game. Willie Parker had a 75-yard touchdown run. So now the safeties are biting down. So when you run a play like that, they have to honor it, because now you're faking right at them. And then you run in reverse. They got to come up and honor that. And then Hines was open, so I was able to hit him. So it was huge, man. It was big for me personally, but it was big. Not only it was big for the team, for it to happen in that moment.
Definitely.
I think at that time we were 13-6 or 7 or something like that, and then that just gave us the touchdown over the top to put us up. And it was, our defense played well, kept Seattle out of the end zone. So it was a great team effort, and I'm thankful for that opportunity. Played in 2 Super Bowls, won 1, and you definitely want to get there and win. You don't want to get there and lose. It is a bummer.
What was the other one you played in?
We lost to Green Bay in 2010-11 season.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We lost. I was with the Steelers versus Green Bay. Lost in that one. We were down. I think we were down 3 or 4, so I can't remember what the final was, but had a chance to go down and win the game, and had 4 turnovers in the game, and still had the ball at 2-minute mark to go down and win the game. We just couldn't pull it out.
Absolutely. You now looking back, you see the small quarterbacks now, Russell Wilson. You see Kyler Murray. Yeah. I know you just be like, man, if y'all would have just believed 10 years ago, man, everything worked out the way it's supposed to. I'm a firm believer in that. But you can't help to wonder. I think the same thing as I look at Steph Curry and I look at all these dudes. When I was coming out, it was more like a pure point guard. And now it ain't nothing but combo guards. And I'm like, that's 50 million right there that y'all just took out my hands. Like, I know, do you think about that at all?
I do, man. I do. I see Kyler playing, and I mean, I'm actually breaking down one of the games that they played against Arizona here. I mean, that they played against San Francisco the other day. So I for me, like, it's like, okay, I paved the way for them.
That's absolutely right. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely.
Them cats, I mean, they actually gave them a shot. I mean, and that's what the GMs told me when I came out. Like, you got all the attributes. We just can't be the team to take a chance on you.
Wow.
Like, all right, well, it ain't really making me feel good, but whatever. And you have 4 or 5 different teams tell me that we just can't be that. We can't be that organization that takes a shot. But you see what's going on now, and that's going to continue to go. If you have the arm strength, and not just the arm strength, but you can be accurate in throwing the ball, then it don't matter your height from that standpoint, because you can be in the gun all the time. You can make the ball, you can throw the ball over the 6'8" tackles. Those you can offensive coordinators know how to make that work for quarterbacks who need it to work for them. Just like the other quarterbacks who are 6'10", you got to protect the pocket for so so long, or I mean 6'7", 6'5", whatever they are, protect the pocket so long because they're not quarterbacks who can get out and be mobile. And that's what they have taken on and done well, especially Kyler, Deshaun Watson. Those cats have perfected or are perfecting their game in terms of throwing the ball and letting running be an extra attribute instead of just running the ball all the time. So
right, yeah, definitely. All right. The last two things we'll discuss, man, is one is the last part of the football in your pro football career. A lot of people talk about, the hits and the damage that it does, and parents are less likely to let their kids play football. Did that affect you at all? And what would your advice be to those parents that are concerned about that?
Well, I had 2 concussions that were reported. I'm sure I had more than that. I know I had more than that. And that was one in college, and then I had one really, really bad one in my last year in the league, where I was out for like 10 days or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Hold on. You was out like from the concussion?
When I say out, I wasn't practicing.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say.
I didn't go in a meeting room for 3 or 4 days because
right. Okay. Gotcha.
I got to wear glasses for a complete week.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I got hit by a lineman that was 6'2", 320 pounds, and he could run a 4.5. So he came down the line full throttle and just laid into me. And that's part of the game. It's gonna happen. But what you do see is that they're cleaning up the game.
Yeah.
And as the NFL cleans up the game, you see colleges clean up the game. You see it happen in high school. And again, that permeates right down to the Pop Warner middle school type. And now you're teaching the kids differently in terms of how to tackle and how to protect yourself. So to those parents and those kids who want to play, I would encourage them to play, but I would also encourage them that they, it's a time to allow that to happen. I don't think kids should play at 6 years old. I think that's early, and it's not a problem with kids not playing until they get to high school.
Right.
To be honest. I think that's when it's your body's kind of developed. You can understand this. You're gonna pick up the physical nature of what have you just because of who the kid is playing the game. And same thing for me. My kid is getting ready to start flag football, and we don't know if he's gonna play tackle. I can't get mama to say yes yet. So
that's absolutely.
And it's understandable. But I feel good. I had some stuff going on couple of years ago, but nothing that's just gonna take me out or got me slobbing at the mouth or nothing like that.
That's good. That's good.
So I feel good. I still work out, and I have to work out because I feel like if I don't, my body feels weird. I can be honest.
It's a different feeling. I let it go for a little while. I jump right back in. I was like,
it feels weird when you don't work out. Your body is just asking for it now, and you get the aches afterward, but you feel better and refreshed.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the encouragement is to go ahead and play the game because the game is changing from a safety standpoint. But they do have to realize it is a violent game. At the end of the day,
definitely.
It is a violent game. But you gotta the new things that's going on with the safeties and knowing you got to protect yourself. That's just part of it. So.
On that note, what I would say, I always tell, if I had a kid that wanted to play, I would let them play. But in high school, like you said, you do a flag all the way up to, but when you get to high school, just pay attention to your children. Don't just send them out there to play and don't talk to them. Don't talk to them about what happened at practice. Did you get a concussion? Just monitor. You just got to today monitor closely those symptoms. Yep. And when you see something that's out of whack, then you address it. I'll just tell parents that, man, don't take something away from kids because he might be great at it. Might get those tools at it. So that's a great point, man. Last thing, man, I want you to tell us what the Randle family is, the immediate Randle family is, and what efforts and what community efforts and things that you're doing that you want the people to know about.
Well, I'll start with the Randle family. So I got a wife and 6 kids. Yeah, we are, and we are rolling.
What? Who's the youngest one? Let me preface this by saying I had a child November 21st, so I got a 4-week-old right now. So
yeah, buddy. Yeah, so I've been there several times.
I love it.
So I got one that is out of school and is working. I got one that is at Grand Canyon University right now. Oldest boy is out of school, one at Grand Canyon University, who's the oldest girl. She's at Grand Canyon University. She will be here on Thursday.
Right.
Coming
Oh, really?
and then I have the three middle girls who are, well, I should say 4 girls in the middle. So I got a 19-year-old, 15, 13, 12, and then we have a 6-year-old. So
Okay, that's the youngest right there.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the youngest, and he's a boy.
Okay.
And it's I come home from work, and it's daddy, it's time to play. If he wants to go out and he wants to play football practice, he wants to do basketball, he want to do something, because he, especially with COVID right now, he done been in the house with his sisters all day, and it's driving him to the wall.
Right.
So when I
Right.
get home, he's ready. He's ready to roll.
Absolutely.
That's my family. Me and my wife been married for almost 18 years.
Awesome.
Love her.
Congratulations.
She is a rock for me. She's certainly what the Bible talks about, being a help for me. She supports me in all that I do and has always been there. So it's been great to be able to experience life with her.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome. So that's the family.
Yep.
And we are living in Tampa, Florida right now, coaching with the Bucks, obviously.
Yep.
And for me, what we try to do, we have what we call the L Foundation. The L stands for everlasting love, and also stands for equipping leaders, and also stands for Elohim, which means God. From that, God leads our life. We lean on him for everything. So we feel like, okay, how much more can we give back? Give back to families, give back to students and student athletes. Again, equipping leaders, because if you don't equip them, you don't teach them, they're not going to know.
Right.
So we try to equip them in terms of teach them about life. And then also you have, in terms of when sometimes you get to talking to the children, you realize most of the issues are coming from the parents. So you end up getting involved with the parents, those parents who needs help. So the L Foundation reaches out and shows that love, just as God shows us love every day and in all things that we do. We try to help those families from those aspects of life. So we've done turkey drives, giveaway, we do the counseling, we do everything we can to really support families that are in need. And in doing so, we see them changed and on a different path of life, and their family has changed and changed forever. So we feel like if we can reach out and do that, we know we're doing what God has called us to do in terms of love, and show his love as much as possible, and being able to share the gospel with them. So that's what we do. That's the Randle L family and the L Foundation. That's what we're about.
Their website they could reach out to or support.
They can go to lfoundation.com. That's THEEL foundation.com, or they can just go to AntwaanRandle.com. They'll see it as well, and they can check out on the site what we do and what we're about.
Is that the greatest accomplishment you've had outside of football, outside of the birth of your children and your family? Is that the greatest accomplishment you had? I know, because as former players, I always like, wait, I can do just as great at this as I did at basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my goal. Is that where you're headed with that?
That is the greatest for me, to be able to give back, to be able to show love, to be able to really step up to the plate and help those who are in need, and help my kids to understand they have to live a life of service.
Right, exactly.
It's about getting served. It's about living a life of service, and somebody's always got it worse than you.
Yeah.
How can you give back and be able to help those who are in need? So that's always our focus, and I feel like if we do that, we're doing our part, not just in society and in the world, but doing our part when it comes to doing what God has called us to do.
Absolutely.
Yes,
well,
sir.
brother, you're an inspiration, man. And I haven't not talked to you in years. We was kids last time we talked to each other.
Yeah, we were young for sure.
The adult version, man. I am extremely impressed, excited for you. A lot of great things happen for you. No regrets in our careers. Always, everything happened exactly the way it's supposed to happen.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely the community efforts. I'm an athletic director here. We didn't even touch on that part. We won't of you starting a school in Virginia and doing that part of it. That's all into the efforts that that God has brought you here to do. So, man, that is awesome. And I'll tell the people a little bit about that. You won't have to explain that. They can find all that on Wikipedia anyway. But it's good to hear from the mouth. Your mouth, man. And thank you, Ed, and continue to support IU football. One of the greatest seasons ever in a weird time, but we're gonna get through this. We're gonna persevere, and this season is really keeping us afloat, keeping our energy up, and giving us something to look forward to. Good luck to your Tampa Bay Bucks, man, as they drive for the playoffs. And you're responsible for them dudes not catching the ball. That's you.
I'm responsible for them. I'm an offensive assistant, so we have a wide receiver coach.
Okay.
help out with the quarterbacks as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if they ain't catching the ball, they ain't blocking. We're responsible for that.
Absolutely.
We got a really, really good crew here.
Mhm.
They do a lot of good things well, and we try to make sure we stay on them, try to keep them humble. But they're pretty humble guys from that aspect. They understand the game, and I'm thankful that they have an opportunity to be able to play the game. So, I'm thankful to be here. Thankful to have an opportunity to coach them. Yep.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Antwaan Randle, everybody, man. Follow his foundation. Keep up with him with the Bucks. He's gonna be a head coach one day. I can see it. It's gonna be in the NFL though, but I can see that already too. But shout out, man. Thank you, brother, for joining the show.
All right, AJ. Appreciate you, bro.